Locking in is the recognition that discipline is simply the ability to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. And let's talk about feelings for a moment, because this is where most people fail. You have been taught a dangerous lie. The lie says, I have to feel ready to act. That is backwards. You act, and then the readiness comes. You act, and then the confidence follows. You act, and then the motivation shows up to see what you're doing. If you wait until you're no longer scared, you will wait forever. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is being terrified and putting your shoes on anyway. Locking in is the decision to stop negotiating with your fear. I need you to look at the timeline of your life. Seriously, look at where you are right now. Look at your age. If you are in your 20s, you are building the foundation for the next 50 years. If you are in your 30s, the walls are going up. Every day you drift is a day you are laying bricks of regret. I'm not trying to scare you into action, but I'm trying to wake you up. There is a version of you that exists 5 years from now, and that version is either going to thank you for the pain you endured today, or they are going to curse you for the comfort you chose instead. When I say a lock-in, I mean you need to develop a level of seriousness that might make you uncomfortable. I'm talking about a quiet, burning intensity, not loud, not performative. You don't need to post about it. You don't need to announce it. The world's loudest people are often its emptiest. The real ones move in silence. They wake up, they do the work, and they go to sleep. And they do it again and again and again. That is the rhythm of mass. That is the sound of someone who has locked in. Let's break down what locking in actually looks like on a Tuesday morning, because the magic doesn't happen on Monday. The magic doesn't happen on the first of the year. The magic happens on the random Tuesday when it's raining. You're tired and your alarm goes off. What do? Do you hit snooze? Do you negotiate? Do you say, I'll start tomorrow? That is the moment of truth. That is the battlefield. When you lock in, you kill the snooze button. You kill the negotiation. Locking in also means you have to get very clear about your why. And I don't mean a cute quote for your Instagram bio. I mean the deep, guttural reason that makes you willing to suffer. Because make no mistake, growth is suffering. Improvement is uncomfortable. Changing your life feels like losing something because you are losing the old you. There will be days when you want to quit. There will be weeks where you see no progress. There will be months where it feels like you're walking through wet cement. Everyone starts a journey, very few finish. The difference is the or why. If your why is shallow, you will quit when it gets hard. If your why is deep, you will dig trenches and hold the line. So what is your why? Is it to prove the doubters wrong? Good. Write that down. Is it to give your family a life you never had? Excellent. Is it just to look in the mirror and finally respect the person looking back? That might be the best one of all. Whatever it is, it has to be bigger than your comfort. It has to be louder than your excuses. We also need to talk about the myth of balance. People love to talk about work-life balance. They love to say you shouldn't sacrifice your health or your relationships for success. And generally that's true. But here's the truth they don't tell you. There are seasons for everything. And right now, if you are behind, if you are playing catch up, if you are tired of being broke, tired of being out of shape, tired of being ignored, then the season for balance has not yet arrived. Right now is the season for obsession. Right now is the season for saying a no to the party. Right now is the season for saying a no to the Netflix binge. Right now is the season for turning off your phone for 6 hours and becoming a savage in your craft. I'm not saying to burn out. I'm saying to wake up. You have to be willing to be a little bit boring to become extraordinary. The people who change the world are boring to the untrained eye. They eat the same breakfast. They follow the same routine. They protect their time like it's radioactive. Why? Because they have locked in. They understand that greatness is not a single explosive moment. It is the accumulation of thousands of boring, repetitive, unsexy choices made consistently over a long period of time. Let me tell you a secret about the people you admire. The CEO, the athlete, the artist, the entrepreneur you look up to, they are not smarter than you. They are not more talented than you. Genetics play a role at the highest level, sure. But for 99% of the gap between where you are and where you want to be, it's not talent. It's tolerance. It's tolerance for discomfort. They are simply willing to do the thing you are avoiding. While you were watching the trailer, they were writing the script. While you were resting on your laurels, they were sharpening their sword. While you were waiting for the right time, they realized the right time was right now. This brings me to a harsh word: accountability. When you lock in, you stop blaming the world, the economy, your boss, your bad luck, your childhood. These are real things that have impacted you. I won't deny that. But at a certain point, the past becomes an explanation, not an excuse. You can stay stuck in the analysis of your problems forever, or you can move into the solution. A locked-in mind doesn't ask, "Oh, why is this happening to me?" It asks, "What am I going to do about it?" That shift in language is the sound of a prison door swinging open. You have to audit your environment. If you want to lock in, you cannot keep hanging out with people who are asleep. There is a law of physics that applies to human beings. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your friends are cynical, you will become cynical. You will become cynical. If your friends are lazy, your ambition will feel like arrogance. If your friends are comfortable with being average, they will subconsciously punish you for trying to rise. They will call you obsessed. They will say you've changed. And you know what? You need to change. You need to become unrecognizable to the people who knew the old sleeping version of you. You don't have to be mean to them. You just have to be unavailable for their low-level energy. Locking in also means you accept the concept of delayed gratification. We live in a now society. We want the money now, the body now, the respect now. But nature doesn't work that way. You plant a seed in the dark, wet soil. For weeks, nothing happens. It looks like you fail. But underground, the roots are growing. They are spreading, anchoring, preparing. Then one day, the sprout breaks the surface and then it grows fast. You are in the underground phase right now. It feels like nothing is happening. It feels like you're working for no reason. But those roots are forming. Stay in the dirt a little longer. Lock in and trust the process. I want to address the fear of failure because that is the silent killer of locked-in energy. You are scared that if you really try and you fail, then you will have proven that you aren't good enough. So you don't try. That way, you can always tell yourself, I could have done it if I wanted to. That is a coward's logic. I would rather you try and fail spectacularly than drift into the grave with your music still inside you. Failure is data. Failure is tuition. Failure is the path. The only true failure is the refusal to begin. When you lock in, you sign a contract with yourself that says, I will fail forward. I will get up one more time, then I fall down. That is unshakable. We also have to discuss the physical body. You cannot lock in mentally if you are living in a trash can physically. You don't need to be a bodybuilder, but you need to move. You need to sweat. You need to eat food that fuels rather than sedates. The brain is an organ. It is connected to the body. If you are sluggish, hungover, dehydrated, and malnourished, your mind will be foggy. You will lack the edge. The discipline to work out is the same discipline you need to write that book or close that deal. It's all one muscle. Exercise that muscle daily. When you physically lock in, the mind follows. So what does the next hour look like? Because that's all we have. You might have heard me speak for 3,000 words, but if you walk away and do nothing different, I have failed you and you have failed yourself. To lock in is not a thought. It is a behavior. In the next hour, I want you to turn off your phone. I want you to get a piece of paper. I want you to write down the 3 most important things you need to do to move your life forward. Not the urgent things, not the email, not the text back. The important things, the things that scare you, the things that matter in 5 years. Then I want you to do the hardest one first. This is called eating the frog. Most people do the easy stuff to feel productive. They answer emails. They clean their desk. That's procrastination in a tie. No, you go for the jugular. You do the thing that makes you sweat. You make the phone call you've been avoiding. You write the first page. You go for the run. You have been coddling yourself long enough. It is time to lock in. And here is the paradox. When you finally lock in, when you finally stop negotiating and start doing, you will find a peace you haven't felt in years. The anxiety you feel right now isn't because you have too much to do. It's because you're not doing it. The guilt you feel on Sunday night isn't because you rested. It's because you drifted. The antidote to anxiety is not relaxation. The antidote to anxiety is specific, focused action. When you lock in, the noise in your head gets quiet. The doubts don't disappear, but they become whispers compared to the war of your momentum. Why I am not asking you to be perfect. Perfectionism is the enemy of locking in. Perfectionism is fear dressed up as high standards. It says I'll write the book when I have the perfect idea. It says I'll start the business when I have the perfect plan. That is a lie. Locked in people know that done is better than perfect. They know that you correct the course while the ship is moving. You cannot steer a parked car. You have to start moving, even if you don't know exactly where you're going. Action creates clarity. Inaction creates confusion. So here's my final challenge to you. Right now in this moment, look at your hands. Those are the tools. Look at your mind. That's the engine. Look at the clock. That is the only resource you can't buy more of. You have been given a life. You have been given a body. You have been given maybe 80 trips around the sun if you're lucky. How many of those trips have you spent asleep? How many have you spent waiting? How many have you spent saying, I'll do it tomorrow? Tomorrow is not a day of the week. Tomorrow is a trap. Tomorrow is where dreams go to die. The only currency you have is this moment. Right now, the breath you are taking as you read this sentence. You can either use this moment to lock in, or you can use it to promise yourself you'll start next Monday. But I know how next Monday goes. Next Monday becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And suddenly you wake up and you're old and the ghost of your potential isn't whispering anymore. It's silent because you killed it. Not with a single bad decision, but with 1,000 tiny acts of giving up.